Contrary to popular belief, what's not a bad thing? Giving up. So me tunes, giving up is the best thing you can do. Gotta know when to hold em, and when to fold em. Know when to walk away, know when to run. But when shouldn't I be counting my money? This is called sunken cost fallacy. I've put so much work into this, I can't stop now. If something isn't working out and you can't see it getting any better in the future, there's no shame or harm in giving up and moving on. Otherwise known as the cutting your losses method. I just lost $80,000 in crop. It was battle the mites for months and hope I win or kill everything and restart. I cried a lot, not knowing something. It's not shameful to admit it. Okay, but I was 17 and didn't know pepperoni was a meat. Edit. Since people won't stop asking, I just never thought about it before. Did you think it was a pepper? Little pepper. Somebody who changes their beliefs. Similarly, changing your mind, opinion about something, political or otherwise. Even if you don't entirely change your opinion, it's healthy to frequently challenge your viewpoints. Listening to other perspectives is good, too. Even if they don't contradict your opinion, they can make you consider something you hadn't before. I don't know where it's from, but I've had the idea of holding things lightly as a guiding mantra. We need to have beliefs and opinions to operate in this world. We need to make assumptions to work with incomplete knowledge, but never get too committed to those. Hold them lightly. Know better, do better, right? There's a lot of things I used to believe or think when I was younger and more sheltered than I currently think. Age and experience change perceptions, and I think that's healthy in most cases. Breakups. Sometimes it's better to end things instead of trying to hold a failing relationship together. Edit. Thanks for all the great replies to my simple comment, as well as the awards. I got broken up with by my first real GF on New Year's, and all these comments have helped me see that life will move on and I'm not alone. May we all have better luck this year. In my divorce group, there was a saying: there are plenty of failed marriages where the parties are still together. I got divorced years ago. I can't imagine this last year if we were forced to be in the same house with no break due to COVID. I sometimes hear my neighbors having screaming fights, and I realize there are worse things than being alone. I've recently ended a decade-long relationship with who I thought was the one. It's still very civil between us, and this is for the best. Did the same, today, 0.13 years. There's this girl, second best thing that ever happened to me. And the best thing she ever did for me was dump me. Then there was this other girl, and now we have 2 daughters. So that first girl has been demoted to fourth best thing that ever happened to me, but I wouldn't have made it here without her. Thank you for everything, and for ending it so we could both move on. Heart. Saying no once someone asks you to do something that they're entirely capable of doing. Ugh, my neighbor just called me to come fix her guest bed. She has a house full of relatives from California in, and I really don't feel like exposing myself to whatever might be in that house. Plus, why can't one of them fix the damn bed? I said I was busy, but I might be able to do it later. I'm on the fence about this. Don't do it. Failure. Good decisions come from experience. But experience comes from bad decisions. This is life, so never regret. Learn from mistakes and go ahead. Shania, Mark Twain. Edit. Author of quote added. Thanks. I've never regretted something I did. All my regrets are things I didn't do. I'd rather do and fall on my face than not do and wonder forever. I worked for a white-collar criminal defense firm for many years. Many of our clients would have saved themselves from criminal charges merely by letting their businesses fail. I believe that knowing how to fail should be taught as part of MBA programs. I work in product management, and especially with MBAs fresh from school, the utter fear of failure is not only petrifying to them, it also makes them suck at their jobs until you can get them to accept that they're going to fail a lot. Once you can get people to grasp that fear of failure maximizes your chance of failure, it doesn't minimize them, then you start to see people really start delivering. Or, back to your white-collar dudes, they're people so focused on their favorite ideas succeeding that they decide that actual success isn't a priority, which in turn guarantees they'll fail. If they were focused on success, once the signals started coming in that the current idea, venture wasn't working, they'd jettison it post-haste for something with more promise. The stigma behind talking about your pay with fellow coworkers. In the States, it is legal. By talking about your wages, you help ensure you and co-workers are being paid fairly. Edit. I made an oopsie. I think it was understood, but what I mean is, you should talk about your wages. At my old job, a manager for another site who was visiting my location tried to scold me for asking my coworker how much she makes when she made a comment about not getting paid enough. He said it's illegal and super inappropriate. We were teenagers working at a car wash. Literally nobody would care if we discussed our pay, and it's actually, from what I've heard, illegal to try to prevent people from talking about their pay in the US. Yep, lots of managers don't seem to understand basic employment laws. My current manager tried pulling "Thay, you're not allowed to talk about pay." So I took her back to our break room and showed her the poster that specifically says it is illegal for an employer to dissuade employees from discussing wages. So she switched to saying that it makes things a hostile working environment. Of course, I make it a point to discuss my wages with anyone willing, and she hasn't said anything since. I'm just always surprised how managers can completely miss these legal posters that they themselves put up. This is true. However, a male got offered a new job and was deliberating on taking it. I told my all-female coworkers what the pay offered was and what a difference it was from what I currently made. Little did I know that I had women who had more experience than I did, making 10,000 less in my department. I took the new job and holy hell did they take that department down. We were a small group, but still, all had left within 15 months. I'm glad I spoke up. Any one of them could have been my boss, and the difference of $70,000 $55K is pretty big in middle class America. Defending yourself against a customer who is extremely rude. I was at a grocery store during our first lockdown and some dude was screaming at the staff because he couldn't use cash in the non-cash line. They were all marked which were cash and which weren't. I cannot stand that shit, so I walked over and said something like, "I know they can't tell you this, but I can. You're a fucking asshole, and because you're too stupid to understand rules, you've decided to take it out on them. Go fuck yourself." It took his anger away from them for a second, but I'm a pretty big guy, so he wasn't too interested in going face to face with me. That's amazing. I'm sure they appreciated it, man.